Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features X Factor number 81, cover dated August 1992. So the cover caption is "A touch of cyber equals death." This is the first front cover appearance of new character Cyber. He first turned up in a very small cameo in issue 79. Then we got to see him at the end of issue 80. And now we get a lot more of him in this particular comic, which also happens to be Larry Stroman's final issue on the title. So Cyber's design, the character design, very, very Larry Stroman-esque. And my understanding is it is by Larry Stroman. He's the designer of the costume and the adamantium armored arms, all of that. And looks pretty cool at this time. A pity to lose Larry Stroman. Obviously, he got a good offer from Image Comics to go over there and launch his creator-owned comic Tribe. But back to this particular cover, I think it's a pretty nice design. And it is penciled by Larry Stroman, inked by Al Milgrom. I think this one is maybe one of the most effective covers from Stroman's run. Let's open this up to the first page. We don't get a full splash, but we do get some nice big images there. Nice top-down angle on Cyber in the basement of the hotel where X Factor had been guarding Marilyn Maycroft, aka Shrew, one of the former members of the Hell's Bells. And we have Briquette there, and she is resting her hand dangerously on the basement boiler. We'll see how that turns out shortly. So in Cyber's speech balloon, we get a catch-up on what happened in the previous issue and the fact that he's poisoned Guido. So he touched Guido with the adamantium point of one of his fingers, and that has injected a poison through him. Cyber says, "I go by the name of Cyber, I'm the Bell's mentor. Any questions?" Well, the title of the story is Bells of the Ball, and the creative team, written by Peter David, pencils by Larry Stroman for the last time, as I said, inks by Al Milgrom, colors by Kevin Tinsley, and letters by Richard Starkings. So let's turn the page. See, does Strong Guy have any questions? He says, "Yeah, why have you still got morning breath this late in the day?" So of course, we get a joke. It is a Peter David comic, and Cyber replies, "Don't you see it, boy? Unless you play nice, you're going to die." And Strong Guy isn't listening to him. Name's not boy. I answer to Strong Guy or Guido or Love Doctor. And Briquette chimes in there. "Come here, Love Doctor. Let me give you a 2,000-degree kiss." So this is where the danger occurs. "Briquette," shouts Strong Guy, "get away from that boiler. You're superheating it. You'll make it blow." So she doesn't understand him. And he sees that the boiler's about to blow. Cyber clocks him in the jaw. "You blew it big time, boy," he says. I've got claws and adamantium lace skin. What makes you think you're so great?" Strong Guy replies, "Well, I use antlers in all of my decorating." And then the boiler is superheating there. Cyber recognizes it. Briquette, time for a judicious retreat. But what about Strong Guy? He's on the ground. Is he going to be able to get out of there? Meanwhile, higher up in the hotel, we have Havok, and he's facing off against Flambe. And Rain won't leave him be because she's kind of half bonded to him from the Extinction Agenda crossover storyline, where she was being turned into a mutate servant to Alex when he was a magistrate of Genosha. And remember that Genosha connection because it's going to come up towards the end of this issue again. Alex loses patience with Rain. "Now move, the building's going to explode." So let's turn the page, see how it goes. Vague is aghast, and she and Flambe exit a doorway there. Meanwhile, Tremolo is attacking Rain. She says, "You're coming," or sorry, not Rain, but rather Shrew. That's who they were there to collect, because Shrew was going to testify against their employer, a drug corporation. And Tremolo says, "You're coming back with us, Shrew. It hasn't been the same without you." And she quips back, "It hasn't been the same for me either. It's been sanity." And Rain jumps in, knocks Tremolo from behind and out the window there. And look and see how abstract Stroman is there with the drawing of Rain's profile. It's It's really, really interesting. She's almost like a statue, almost like a sculpture. And I noted that in the previous issue as well. So there's some abstraction coming into his art style here in this issue. And he doesn't scrimp, like this is his final issue. There's no scrimping here. This is a really well drawn and, as usual, laid out and designed issue from Stroman. So Alex is concerned that everybody be evacuated from the hotel. It is a hotel, so there's civilians in there. What's happening is that everyone is to evacuate the building now. He orders, so people move out, and outside he and Rain are looking up at the building, and Rain says, basically Alex is wondering, where's Guido? And Alex infers he must be in the basement. I'm going back in to look for him. So Rain pleads with him that he might be killed, but Alex runs towards the building that's about to explode, which gives us a measure of his heroism, of course. And he says, he's my responsibility, Rain. You all are. I've got to, but then the whole place explodes. And again, you can see the level of abstraction there, the spotting of blacks. It's really well done. I like it. Turn the page, and the scene switches to Twin Forks, which is where this new character, Rachel Argosy, aka Rhapsody, is in jail, and Jamie is concerned to get her freed from imprisonment, and there's a whole question about whether she murdered someone at the opening of issue number 79. So Jamie uses his mutant power in order to send a dupe in through the barred windows. He's falling for Rhapsody as well, and he's saying here he's going to sneak a key over, and Rhapsody says, but that's not necessary, Jamie. A police officer was playing an harmonica, and I used the beautiful music to convince him to open the door for me. So Jamie's surprised, and why are you still here? And she says, I was waiting for you. We're bonded, you and I. Come, we'll get my violin, and me making music, nothing will stop us. Now Quicksilver is also in town. He was partnered up with Jamie and Odd Couple on this case, and Quicksilver is racing towards Jamie as fast as he can. Rachel's playing the violin, and they're flying up into the air, and Quicksilver's seen this before, and he is annoyed by it. Oh, not again, he says. And Jamie's enjoying the music, and again he goes into that fantasy that we saw in the previous issue where he's naked in a field with Rachel. and he says here, you make so much beauty. And she replies, I know, Jamie, I tried to convince Mr. Sharp of that, tried to show him, but let's not talk of that, she was about to say. And Jamie interrupts. So he's not so taken with the beauty and with her as to forget about the murder. What do you mean convince him? When? He asks. And she replies, that night. But the ecstasy overwhelmed him. It was too much. So that's the opening of issue 79. And Jamie comes back and he says, what? He died, but you said you didn't kill him. And she replies, I said I didn't hurt him. He wasn't hurt, except for when his heart stopped. It was the best he ever felt. So that gets Jamie's attention. His eyes pop there, his eyebrow raised, and he turns on her and he says, you're nuts, you're crazy, I don't believe this. You've been inside my head, mucking with everything I am, and you're a flaming psycho. So he lets go of her and he drops towards the ground, but Quicksilver is there to catch him. And she pleads with him, Jamie, wait, listen to me. And he says, or she says to him, please don't leave me here. There's no beauty, no music. I'll die in here without music, without you. So she's begging with him, and he closes the door, and he's crying there outside. And basically he abandons her, and he feels that she's betrayed him, that he had one idea of her, and she turned out to be otherwise. Come on, Pietro, he says, let's go home to Washington. And X Factor, there's nothing here for us, by which he means there's nothing there for him. Great character work by Peter David, really, really well done. Kind of heartbreaking as well, because Jamie thought, his lucky day had finally come, and he had such a lonely childhood. He thought he'd found maybe someone who was beautiful and could show him the beauty in life, and it all turned out to be something much more well, disappointing, put it that way, very disappointing for him. And then we go back to Virginia and the ruins of the hotel, and look who's still alive. It is Strong Guy. But the way his mutant power works is he absorbs kinetic energy and he's got to release it, otherwise he gets way too pumped up. We'll learn in issue 87 that when he is filled with kinetic energy like this, he's in great pain. So I really like the way that Larry Stroman sells him there, pounding on the ground in order to release that energy. A police officer here says the big one's gone nuts. And Alex explains he hasn't gone nuts, put the gun down. He absorbs kinetic energy. That blast was pretty powerful, but he can't store the energy for any real length of time. He has to expend it as quickly as possible. Otherwise, he'll, I don't know, explode or something. So Alex doesn't know about the pain that Guido's in when he is filled with the kinetic energy. And the police officer says, so you're saying he's letting off steam? Alex replies, basically yes. And she says, then have him join a health and racquetball club or something. This I don't need. And there again, you can see Larry Stroman drawing these different body types, kind of the thick thighs of the police officer there. Very interesting. Nobody else really doing that at Marvel. So a pity and a shame to lose him over to Image, where Tribe, it sold quite well the first issue, or maybe the first couple of issues. But nobody really remembers it with any great affection, and certainly nobody remembers what on earth the story was about. So Alex turns to Guido and asks him, you okay? And Guido says, oh swell, I've been poisoned. So this is news to Havok and Rain. So he explains, unless we turn Shrew over to the Hell's Bells within 9 hours, I get to change my name from Strong Guy to Dead Guy. So that was what Cyber said to him at the end of the previous issue. So Havok wants to get caught up on this. Guido's been poisoned. Alex, what are we going to do? Asks Rain. So Alex is the leader. Nice side profile shot of him there. And he says, I'll tell you what we do. We turn her... Oh, sorry. That's not Alex saying it. It's Strong Guy. He says, I'll tell you what we do. We turn her over to them. Alex says, no. And Strong Guy continues, hey, we can always rescue her later, but right now it's my life on the line. You going to pick her or me? And Alex says, we go back to headquarters and we discuss it there. And Guido's about to protest. He says, I said we discuss it there, period. Let's go. So we know that Alex is not uncaring about Guido. He did run towards that building that was about to explode in order to save him. So we know that that's not it. He cares about his teammate. But he is using his head rather than his heart in relation to this. So now they're back at X Factor headquarters, and somebody's saying, I think maybe it's Rain saying, everything's going to be fine, Guido. Val swears this is the most brilliant toxicology center in the country. Okay, so it's not X Factor headquarters, but it's exactly as Rain says, a toxicology center. So Guido's not convinced. He says, yeah, terrific, but she's sworn a lot of things and she don't always come through, you know. What are we sitting around waiting for? Every minute that passes, I think my throat's closing up. So Alex says to him, don't be a baby. And Val comes in and she says, okay, people, come on in. They've got preliminary results. So, Strong Guy here, he says, I'm telling you, I can feel it. My eyes are watering, my scalp is itching. And Rain jokes, well, maybe you're getting some hair up there. And he replies, oh, now you're picking on me? So Val's getting a call there. You going ahead? She says to them as they go into the laboratory. And she thinks to herself, and this is interesting from Peter David, that he gives her this thought balloon. Boy, he must be out of sorts. I said I'm getting a call. And he didn't make jokes about my becoming a nun, or maybe it's a call from Cthulhu or anything. So yeah, Strong Guy is not himself. And who's on the phone? The caller says, jokes, Johnny Carson, I have to do something to fill up the extra time. I thought I'd start by poisoning Strong Guy. So it's Cyber. But look at the art here. Look at this silhouetted side profile of Val. Again, it is Stroman leaning into this kind of almost sculptural way of rendering the figures here and over here with this big anchor image, this 3/4 profile of Strong Guy's face in the corner of this page. Really like the art, really enjoying it. So Cyber's on the phone, a public payphone, that's kind of funny. And he says that there's a deadline, midnight, Judiciary Square, stop on the metro, bring Marilyn there, that's Marilyn Maycroft, aka Shrew, and turn her over to us. If you don't, I'll send a nice floral arrangement to Strong Guy's funeral. And then he smashes the receiver. So that's the end of that call. And the tech guys, or the laboratory technician or chemist, says, from the blood samples we took from you, we've managed to isolate the toxin that was introduced into your system. In fact, that's it over in that test tube on the table. So there's an antidote. And the guy says, I've managed to synthesize an antitoxin that will counteract the effects. There's more than enough here to do the job. But Guido's skeptical, and I'm supposed to take his word for it. This guy comes from the same government talent pool that built a danger room you can't even get into. So that was in the previous issue. And Alex here says, Dr. Middleman. So that's a funny name. Dr. Middleman is one of the country's leading toxologists. If he says he's developed an antidote, then we can take his word for it. He's on our side, Guido. And he continues, Alex, if Val vouches for him, Guido, then that has to be good enough. As a group, we have to depend on one another. If we don't trust each other, we have no hope of survival. So that's like an interesting theme that Peter David is playing around with X Factor. You know, a lot of them were individuals, solo, before coming together to form this team. And so, you know, there is this overarching exploration of how do these people like Strong Guy and Quicksilver and Madrox work together and trust each other as a team. So Strong Guy retorts, that's easy for you to say, Lex. You're not the one who's been poisoned. It ain't your butt on the line. You're asking me to roll dice on my life when we could just as easily turn Shrew over to the group she came from. All this so she can testify against some drug dealers? Like there won't be more tomorrow to take their place. Years after I'm worm meat, they'll still be walking the streets with their case on appeal. This is an interesting perspective that is put into Guido's mouth here. And then he concludes, I don't want to sound selfish or anything, but what's the flaming point? So some interesting character work here by Peter David, and I really like the layout on this page. The classic 9-panel grid, favoured by the likes of Steve Ditko. So it's really good for getting through this particular scene. So Rain tries to persuade him, even if we did what they said, there's no guarantees. They're scoundrels. At least Val's offering a chance in good faith. Guido, I've never seen you like this. You seem so afraid, and you've never been afraid of a blessed thing. So what's he going to say to that? He says, look, Rain, if it was you they wanted, or Lex, heck, even if it was Pietro, I'd tell him to go blow no matter what. But Shrew's just some 2-bit crook who cut a deal. And if I was at least, a fair fight, if my ticket gets punched by someone tougher than me, then okay. I'd buy it while scrapping, then that's how it goes. But like this, where's the upside? So, he is someone who is courageous, who is a hero, but he draws the line at sacrificing his life for a criminal. And that's an interesting kind of discussion point that Peter David has worked into this story. And then I like the kind of the solution that Alex comes up with here. Now there's this is a kind of like a setup, and we get a payoff at the end of the issue in terms of what Alex does here. So he says, you're right, Guido. It's easy for me to tell you what to do when there's nothing at stake for me. And so he drinks from one of the test tubes, and Strong Guy is aghast. That was the vial with the poison in it. What are you, nuts? And Alex replies, I'm responsible for everyone's life on this team. That means I don't ask any of my people to do anything I won't do. So now it's both our butts. So, I like this. I like this characterization of Alex Summers, because this is not the kind of thing that Scott Summers would do. Like, Scott Summers is an absolute hero, but this is not kind of the tricksy kind of thing that Scott Summers would do. He wouldn't think of this, but Alex has a different personality from his brother. He is that bit more emotion driven, and he has a little bit of tricksiness in him, a little bit of a dark side. We've seen it in Extinction Agenda. We see it again in Age of Apocalypse. And this is the kind of thing he's capable of doing. And we'll see exactly everything that's going on with this by the end of the issue as well. So now Guido takes the antidote along with Alex. And here we go. Remember, Genosha. So New York Harbor. This is really well drawn by Stroman. So there's a ship coming in. There's police there on the dock. And this guy here says, attention, attention, all hands on the ship that has illegally entered US waters. You have not been granted permission to enter the United States. You're to turn back out to sea and proceed into international waters. We are aware that you have already disabled 2 Coast Guard cutters, but if you leave of your own volition, no further action will be taken. So the guy here, the government agent, tells the police to be deployed, but there are news reporters around as well. It's this guy with the camera, and here we go. Who's emerging from the ship? So another Larry Stroman design. Look at the huge head on this character as well. And he's got a speech to make. Attention, men on deck. We've been at sea many months. We've been turned away from the shores of 4 different countries. And with all those refusals, we've tried to act with restraint, even though our supplies grew low and our prospects even lower. But I've held out to my people a shining, glowing hope. America, the place for the poor, the outcast, the country built on the backs of frustrated individuals longing for a better life. I will not go below now and tell my people that the woman with the torch, who we passed on our way in, extinguished that beacon when she saw us coming. The original goals of this country have become as corroded as the weapons you were just holding. Come and speak to us when you have something American to say. So, this is really interesting. Okay, this is written in 1992, but the way that this kind of rings and resonates in 2025 is unexpectedly interesting. Let's put it that way. So the government agent here says, I think we've got a major problem. Indeed you do. And then midnight, Judiciary Square. So this is where Cyber said to meet and hand over Shrew. So we've got Strong Guy there. We've got, I think, often he's wearing a jacket. So he's not wearing the jacket there. So it's interesting to see him without the jacket. Alex is there. Rain is there. Really well drawn by Larry Stroman, of course. And they're down in the metro station or the tube station. And what does Strong Guy there say? He says, you know what I heard? That if you play the Murphy Brown Gives Birth episode backwards, you can hear a voice saying Dan Quayle inhales over and over again. So here's Peter David shoehorning in, like 1990s, early 1990s American politics, of course. Dan Quayle ran against Bill Clinton, so this is very topical in 1992, but dated by 2025 standards. So what does Rain have to say? American politics is so silly. I agree with you, Rain. At least you didn't have to deal with Parliament or the royal family. Hold it, she says. I got the scent of them. They're somewhere around. So here they are, Hell's Bells again. And Shrew says, Strong Guy, you were supposed to hang back. There she is. And she says, or rather Flambe says, okay, Shrew, time to come home. We miss you so much. So that's sarcasm for you. And who is this? Oh, no, it's Shrew. She says, no, Trem, or rather, so that must have been Tremolo. She says, no, it's over. There's nothing between us anymore. I want to cut loose, get a fresh start. I'm tired of feeling dirty all the time, just tired. And Vega's there, of course. You better change her mind factor, folks, or Muscle Boy doesn't get this antidote. So there's an explosion. The wall breaks open. It's Cyber. Look at him there. I really like the body shape that Larry Stroman has given him. He looks like just a massive bruiser. And he will go up against Wolverine in due course over Marvel Comics Presents, drawn by Sam Keith. I'm going to see if I can get my hands on those issues for review on the channel in the future. So what does Cyber have to say for himself? He says, what Vague said, X Factor. Hand her over to us, get the antidote, and just walk away. You're understaffed and overmatched. So the train is going through things. And Rain says, Lex, do as he says. Oh, wait a minute. I think that's Strong Guy saying that. And Alex says, shut up, Guido, we had a plan. Dump the plan, I mean it, my guts are on fire. And Rain says, Alex, the antitoxin didn't work. You got to do something. So Strong Guy's in pain. And look who's aboard the train. It's Val Cooper with an army of multiple men. And he says, good, I'm ready to hit somebody because I'm in a really bad mood. So Madrox is back from Two Forks. And now we have X Factor no longer understaffed. And Strong Guy here, he tackles Cyber. Just so you know, I was faking. So it was a ruse. Actually, I feel just fine. Shame you aren't going to be able to say the same. But Cyber's a strong antagonist. And double punches Strong Guy there. So he knocks him right over. That's a really good anchor image there. Havok wades in. You're going to do squat all metal mouth, he says to Cyber. Guido, go help Madrox. I got a hunch this is the creep who hospitalized Lorna and he's all mine. So it's personal for Alex now. Flambe here. Blowing flame at Madrox. Rain attacks her there. Kicks her in the jaw. Before you can get another mouthful of flame, I'll give you a mouthful of my foot instead. That's good. It's funny. So the fight continues, but the tide begins to turn. And Strong Guy here gets a rematch with Briquette and punches her right in the jaw, even though she's a woman. And Quicksilver arrives, of course, as well. So let's see, we're coming to the end of the issue. Havok here using his plasma blasts against Cyber. Face it, boy, all you're doing is ticking me off, says Cyber. Look, there's another train on the way. You gave it a nice try, kid. Your girlfriend would have been proud. I'll put in a good word for you right before I do her. So he's a nasty piece of work. You can just see here, Alex sees the train, hears it too. And Shrew jumps on Cyber. And she knocks him into the train just as Alex leaps clear. And then, he uses a plasma blast on Cyber and tells Shrew, leap clear the train. So is she injured? No, because Quicksilver grabbed her. So X Factor working as a team. A close call. Look at that. That's a pretty cool ad for Rise of the Midnight Suns. Adam Kubert on art there. And last page. So we get 22 pages of story and art in this issue. Like these vertical panels as well. Like these layouts. As ever, really good design sense from Larry Stroman. So Strong Guy there is triumphant. He says, check it. We finally won one clean. You were right. All we had to do was trust you. Should have known when you had the guts to drink the same poison that was in me that you had what it took to lead this team. But remember what I was saying earlier? Here's the payoff to all of that scene. Are they serious? Whispers Quicksilver. You were insane enough to drink poison just to prove a point? And Alex replies with a smile on his face, well, actually, I poured the poison out of the vial and drank tap water. So Quicksilver replies, whispering, of course, you sank to deceit in order to gain loyalty? This is really good. At the end, Quicksilver says, Summers, my respect for you has just increased 1,000-fold. What a great conclusion to this issue. And really great work for Larry Stroman's final issue. But his run over too soon. In my opinion, he should have stayed on for another year. But just, I guess, the temptation, the money, what was going on, the buzz at Image, too difficult to turn down. Next up, the Expatriates, plus the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. So there we go. We've got one page of letters there about issue 76, comments on issue 76. And that is that. And of course, as ever, you never get a farewell to Larry Stroman or anything like that from Marvel in this time period. Very cold attitude from Marvel to all the artists who left and went over to Image to co-found it or to publish at Image. But I do hope that you enjoy this review and commentary on X Factor number 81. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section. If you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like and share the video. It really does help the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.